with talking to Winston. Winston in Tokyo.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Winston, you're live with Eric and Jim Helton.
Thanks. Hello, Eric and Jim. I'd like to talk about something I've observed and then ask for your thoughts.
Sure.
Well, basically, I know that if you work at a suicide hotline, the first thing they tell you is to listen to the other person on the end of the phone. And when I was a teenager, I tried to talk to someone about my problems, and they wouldn't even listen to me. So they pushed me closer to suicide instead of pulling me back. And that really made me feel awful.
So, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's like going to a counselor's office to talk about why you want to kill yourself, and then having the counselor shoot you in the head as soon as you enter, so you don't even get a word out.
We talk about mental health and we talk about depression and suicide. I know that's one of those things that make us different from the atheist experience. And I've actually been getting a lot of letters recently about it. And it's, Winston, are you okay right now?
Yes, I've managed to move on a lot in the past 20 years. And I'm living a stable, happy life now.
All right. Then wanting to talk about it.
I'm glad I pushed through. Yeah. I'm sorry?
No, then wanting to talk about it is really, really important.
Winston, are you familiar with the Secular Therapy Project?
Yes, I've heard of them.
Yeah, you should Google Secular Therapy Project. They have, I know you're in Tokyo, but they also have therapists that are willing to do online talk that go through a screening process that are giving evidence-based solutions and helping you so that you don't get that counselor. There's nothing worse than your time of need and you get that counselor that says you need to go to church or find God to solve your problems. These have all been vetted. So
And Winston, if you're doing okay, then this is definitely good for people who are watching. Hey, Jim, where can people go if they want to look up the Secular Therapy Project?
Seculartherapy.org.
Okay. Yeah, so in the notes, I see that it says, and why believers are making the problem worse. You know, it's funny because... Go ahead.
Not just believers, but I would say pro-lifers in particular, because if you ask them, if you try to tell them your problems, they'll dismiss it, or they'll say that it's not really your problem. And at that point, you pretty much feel like slapping them across the face to knock some sense into them.
Oh, dude, did you see last week's episode? I was told that things are wrong with me because I masturbate.
Yes, that's horrible.
Oh, no, it's actually wonderful. You should. Masturbation is fantastic. No,
being told that is horrible.
I'm sitting next to Daryl Ray.
Right? Oh, man.
Wonderful.
But, yeah, you know, it's interesting because, you know, I keep saying, you know, this is not a thing. I'm just going to take a breath. We were up late, Jim. I blame you. We were up really late last night.
Working hard.
Playing board games. And, you know, Winston.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me crazy when I take a look at the way churches will say, you know, you need us, right? There's a God-shaped hole in your heart. And when people, like the person last week, would call in and say, it's because you masturbate that things are wrong, you're abusing yourself. It's a tool. It breaks your leg to sell you a crutch. And I totally get it. And I've actually been talking to people this last week. Somebody reached out and said that they were having this issue in their personal life. I'm not going to go into the details. But what we find is we have to be the better person. We have to be the one to, you know, be empathetic, understanding, kind, and forgiving. Mm-hmm. And it's so tough, especially when you're in crisis, when you're in a place where you need the help and somebody says, well, you're broken. Here's how you do it. You go into this church and that's the reason. It's because you don't have church. You don't actually get to address the issues at hand. And potentially you could be picking up more issues in the future. People call in and they say, oh, well, what's wrong with religion? You're attacking it, but it does so much good. It does so much harm too, right? You have indoctrination. You have people who are ashamed of their sex, people who are pushed to disown their own family members. And in times of need for mental health, you have this excuse that God somehow created you broken and you just need him to fix it.
Nowhere's more apparent than that than in conversion therapy.
Yeah.
LGBTQ, where they send these kids to conversion therapy, and the result is they're 8 times more likely to commit suicide going through this therapy. And across the country, what we're seeing is bills to ban conversion therapy. And I encourage people to check on their state to support something like that. And Winston, to some of the things that you said, you know, what concerned me is when someone, I heard, did you say that someone told you like that wasn't a problem?
Yeah, they wouldn't even listen to me.
And it shouldn't be myself. Yeah, it shouldn't be myself or anybody telling you it's not a problem. If it's affecting you, it's a problem. If it's impacting you, it's a problem. And I encourage you, and I'm so glad you said that you're doing well. And it's obviously, you mentioned 20 years, which is an impact. But make sure you have friends you can talk to or a professional to help you through this. There are people that are here for you. There's a community here that that supports you to make sure you get the help that you need, that you're okay. And if it's impacting you, it's an issue and needs to be addressed, and no one should dismiss that.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the community, I'm proud to tell you that even though you're in Tokyo, you can absolutely get in touch with us and talk to us. If you haven't joined us on Facebook or on Reddit or on Discord, you absolutely should. We have an incredible group. I'm taking a look. We just got a $6.66 donation from someone named Guillaume, who is in Quebec, right? So I'm talking to somebody in Tokyo, with support from Quebec in Austin, Texas, right? We have volunteers all over the world, and it doesn't matter where you are. I know that we say this all the time, but this is your community. And you can reach out online, and we will reach back. I'm really proud of that.
And Winston, if you need something fun, find something you can do to relieve your stress or as an outlet. Like Eric and I played board games, and since we talked to you, we're going to play King of Tokyo this evening to relieve our stress. So have something that you can do, that helps you. For me and Eric, like we play board games.
Yep.
And that helps me, and nothing better than King of Tokyo. It's like Yahtzee, but with monsters, and you get to kill people. It's a nice stress relief.
Wow, sounds awesome.
Yeah, go pick it up.
Wow, another a $50 donation. Don't spend it all on one. Thank you, Technical Terry. We've been getting a lot. If you'd like to support us, actually, I should probably say this. I'll finish the call with Winston. Winston, thank you for calling in, man. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for talking to me.
Thank you.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Hanford